All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to step past the yellow tape and peek inside the digital crime lab. We're getting a first-hand look at one of the most powerful tools in a digital detective's arsenal, a piece of software called EnCase. I mean, you've probably wondered about this, right? When a crime happens, we all picture detectives dusting for fingerprints. But what about when the entire crime scene is a hard drive or a phone? How in the world do they find that one crucial email or that deleted photo buried in terabytes of data? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Because nowadays, the most critical evidence is almost always digital. So investigators need a virtual laboratory, right? A totally secure digital space where they can pull apart devices without changing a single bit of data. And that's where the real investigation begins. And the heart of that lab, it's EnCase. Honestly, the best way to think of it is as the ultimate digital toolkit. It's the magnifying glass, the evidence bags, and the analysis station all rolled into one piece of software that's built to make sure every piece of evidence can hold up in court. Now, every single investigation, I don't care if it's digital or physical, it has to start with serious organization. Before an examiner even looks at the evidence, they have to create a case file. And this isn't just, busy work. It is the absolute foundation for everything that comes next. And here we go. This is basically the front door, the EnCase home screen. It's where every single investigation gets its start. Super simple. You can either kick off a brand new case or just grab one you've been working on from the recent cases list. Kicking off a new case is this really critical four-step dance. First, you pick a template, which is a huge time saver. Then you give the case a name, and this has to be descriptive, because you can imagine how messy it gets with dozens of cases. Third, you tell EnCase exactly where to save everything. And finally, you punch in the key details like the case number and your name. It's all about establishing that clean chain of custody right from the jump. Okay, so the case file is ready to go. Now it's time for the big one, bringing the actual evidence into this super secure environment. This is literally the digital version of taking a piece of evidence from a crime scene and sealing it in a tamper-proof bag. And what's really cool here is just how flexible it is. EnCase isn't just for old-school computer hard drives. An examiner can pull in a disk image or even grab data directly from a smartphone. It's really built for the messy, complicated digital world we actually live in. And here's that moment. The examiner finds the evidence file. In this case, it looks like it's from a BlackBerry. They select it, and they click Open. And boom. Just like that, the evidence is loaded, its integrity is verified, and it's locked into the case, completely safe from any kind of contamination and ready for analysis. The source material had this fantastic piece of advice, and it's so true. It's like that old saying, vote early and vote often. Well, in digital forensics, the stakes are just so incredibly high. One little mistake, one system crash, and hours of meticulous work can just vanish. So the rule is simple: save your work, early and often. So the case is open, the evidence is secure. Now for the fun part. It's time to put that evidence under the microscope. This is where EnCase really shines, letting investigators go from a 30,000-foot view right down to the tiniest, most microscopic detail. The whole analysis setup is built around this one idea, a really simple but incredibly powerful three-pane view. And if you can wrap your head around how these three windows work together, you basically understand how a whole digital investigation works. And you can see it right here. Let me introduce you to the stars of the show, the tree pane, the table pane, and the view pane. Each one gives you a deeper, more detailed look than the one before. It's the super logical flow from the big picture down to the nitty-gritty. So how's it work? It's pretty simple, actually. The tree pane on the left is your high-level overview. Think of it like the folders on your computer. You click a folder there, and the table pane in the middle shows you what's inside, all the individual files. Then, and here's the magic, you click one of those files in the table pane, and the view pane at the bottom shows you its actual raw contents. So let's actually walk through it. An examiner's journey starts right here, in the tree pane. They might select an entire hard drive to start, or like we're seeing here, they're drilling down into a specific partition to start hunting. So once that folder's picked, the table pane just comes to life, showing every file inside. The examiner can sort by name, date, whatever they need. And right here, something's caught their eye, a file named moneytransfer.txt. They give it a click. And there it is, the payoff. The view pane at the bottom instantly shows everything inside that file. Over on the right, you can see the plain text, details about a $700,000 transfer. And on the left, that's the raw hexadecimal data. That's the file's digital DNA. the undeniable proof. We just went from a whole hard drive down to a single incriminating sentence in just a few seconds. But, finding the smoking gun, that's only half the battle. The other half, and you could argue it's even more important, is making sure every single piece of data is managed so perfectly that it can survive the intense scrutiny of a courtroom. Because in the world of forensics, keeping your files organized isn't just about being neat, it's about preventing cross-contamination of evidence. If data from one case accidentally bleeds into another, both investigations could be completely compromised. It's that serious. Organization is everything. And this is exactly how the pros do it. They use these super strict, consistent naming conventions. Just look at how the case name, ABC Stock Fraud, and its case number is part of the folder name, the case file name, and the evidence file name. It's brilliant, because if any one of these files ever gets separated, its name alone ties it right back to all its lost relatives. What's great is that EnCase is actually built to make you do this. When an examiner starts a new case, the software automatically builds this logical folder structure for things like exports, emails, temp files. It kind of forces you to stay organized right from the very first click, which is just smart design. So we've seen how every single step from naming a file to clicking a button is done with this incredible precision and purpose. And it really leaves you with this one last thought. If something as simple as a file name could be the difference between someone being convicted or acquitted, what other small details in our own digital lives, the files we think we deleted, the websites we browse, the texts we send, what kind of impact could they have that we never even imagined?